Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. I am your host, Ed, aka SavageTechman, and welcome to episode 103 of the podcast here, Geek Homeworld. We are closing down 2018 here, and I'm trying a little experiment here. I'm trying to live stream on my phone while I'm recording this. So if it seems a little awkward in the recording of this, just the audio portion, it's because I'm also trying to stream live and take questions, and it's kind of a geek chat here. But I'm just going to look at, to start off, reviewing 2018. Now, we'll probably have a more proper review of things coming up. And you have to forgive me, I'm used to audio podcasting, so I'm forgetting to look at the camera there. I'm looking over to my face here, which would be about there, and I really need to be looking right there. So I've got to focus on the camera, where the camera is, and all that. I'm a sound guy. I'm not the visual guy. So forgive me. I don't have a teleprompter or something to hang my notes up here. That would be a good idea, though. It really would. So but I'm watching a delayed version of myself on my wife's laptop, which isn't the most high-end of products, so it's very delayed. So anyway, I don't know how this final YouTube version of this is going to turn out, or if I'm able to edit it. I made it public. I've announced it on Twitter. Let's see if I can share this. And forgive me if I'm looking down, if I don't get my camera angles right, because this is all a work in progress. So I'm going to share this to Facebook if I can. I wish it would let me go. All right, I'm literally typing. You probably can't see this, but I'm typing, and you probably hear that too. Join me live now. Oops. Now. All right, I want to save that. All right, Geek Chat. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to regret this later. All right, so I sent that out on Facebook there, apparently. Oh, I could do it off of here. I didn't realize that, probably. Let's see what post I have going on here. So, what is this? All right, let's go to me. Okay, so we're working at the technicalities of this. Apparently, I'm going to have to do a lot of heavy editing here. So, all right, I need to share this. Share to a page that I manage. I should have a better workflow on this. And let's see. I'm typing this, so forgive me for not looking at you. Join me now for a live. Oh, wow. Her keyboard is set up so differently on her laptop than mine, and so it's just a little disjointing here for me. Join me live now, and let's join me now live, and let's talk geeky things. Does that sound right? Join me now live. Join me live now, and let's talk geeky things. Post. All right. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see what happens. So Anywho, I'm just going to say, I got to pull up the YouTube there. Ask any geeky questions. Really? Something is wrong with this keyboard. Okay, ask, or maybe it's probably user interface is wrong. It's usually the person, it's not the computer. Ask any geek. Really? I'm not trying to do that. Why is the quality at 480? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Let's see. Let's see if it'll upscale. Ask any geeky questions. See if that pops up on my screen. It should. All right. So, all right. I hope this thing doesn't go into live. It's not double live chatting this or whatever. So I don't know. I wonder if you click on it, if that takes it, if they go right there. Oh, it takes them right to the YouTube channel, so it should take them to the Geek Homeworld channel. So this is a subscribe for me. You can share this video with a YouTube friend. If you enjoyed this video, help others by adding captions. Okay, well, that's interesting. All right. So we're on the chat here. So we'll see what happens here. So maybe nobody shows up. This was totally unannounced. So anyway, to give me a basis here, I may start over recording. Get about 6 minutes in, about 20 on the, about 18 and a half on the video, and about 6:41 basically on the recorded version. So we'll see what happens. So maybe this I'll just downscale this to 480 and just so I can see what's going on. Okay. Well, now the focus is going. Really? Why is the focus auto-focusing? Because I moved? Did I move too quickly? I don't know. We'll find out. So I'll let that reload. Anyway, so welcome to episode 103 of the Geek Homeworld. We're also live streaming this on the Geek Homeworld YouTube channel. So if you want to join in and ask anything, this will be recorded for an audio version of the podcast, the regular version that we do. So I'm recording it independently on that way. So if there's any questions you want to ask along the way, please do. So we're looking at 2018, and we're kind of reviewing here the year, and I'll probably do a more extensive review of things, but we're going to talk about movies, and we may talk about some other things depending if anyone else joins in on the chat room here and if they want to discuss things. So forgive me for not looking at the camera. If you're watching this on the YouTube video, I've got to learn to look right where the camera is, which to me, it's way over here, and that may not mean anything, but I'm an audio guy. I'm not a video guy, so I'm learning the whole YouTube aspect of it. And I may be looking down because I have notes here, just basic ones, and I've got my recorder set up over here, so my levels are looking pretty good on that. So I just want to make sure that I'm coming in clean on there without any disruption. So I put out some notifications that I'm live, so we'll see if anybody shows up, and if anybody wants to chat, reminder to go blah, 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 blah. And nobody's gonna show up. Well, everybody could be working there. I'm not working today, so anyway, so we want to look at the top box office gross and of the year. We're going to look at that, the 2018 top box office grossings. That's not a thing, is it? So we just start at the top with $700 million in the bank, we have Marvel's Black Panther, #1 movie of the year. It literally came out in February of 2018 and stayed until August 9th, which is, it got a little bit of a bump when the #2 movie of the year, it's $678 million, Avengers Infinity War, which is probably, especially at least for geek movies, geek-centric movies, is definitely my favorite movie of the year. It was so amazing what the Russo brothers did in bringing in 10 years of continuity through 18 movies up to that point. I think Captain Marvel coming out in early 2019 will be the 20th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. So with that being said, it got a little bump. Black Panther, it was still going on when Avengers came out April 27th, and we just last week got the first teaser trailer for Avengers Endgame, which was originally Infinity War Part 2. And I'm kind of glad that they called it Endgame, and it does tie a lot of things together, which this movie is basically closing a chapter on the first 10 years of Marvel. And it took 2 movies, and the big snap that Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet with all the stones that he collected, and he wiped out half of existence. And the implications of that are going to be far-reaching for a very long time. And even into the solo movies, and depending on, when, like Spider-Man Homecoming, the sequel, I forgot the name of it. I don't know that we know the name yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know it. And it's just been a fascinating ride there. It's been, Infinity War has just been, it was everything. It was almost the perfect movie. Now, Black Panther, the #1 movie of the year, a lot of people would say that's definitely their favorite regardless, even if they're not geeks per se. I loved Black Panther. I've got nothing against Black Panther as a movie. It's a very solid movie. It has probably the best written villain of almost any movie I've ever seen. Killmonger, which Michael Jordan, in playing that role, he just owned that role, and his idea of being the bad guy who actually makes the good guy in the film, T'Challa, or King T'Challa, who is the Black Panther, he actually challenges his beliefs and changes his beliefs, that basically the aspect of isolationism that in the movie Wakanda has experienced, it's been their choice since when you see in the opening how a meteor or whatever came to Earth and it crashed and it caused the it caused basically all of the vegetation, everything in Wakanda to be infused with vibranium. And it's the strongest in the MCU. It's the strongest metal there is. Now that we're going to get the merger eventually with Fox and all that, and then we'll get X-Men into the universe there of the MCU, we're going to see that vibranium isn't the strongest metal there is. There's adamantium, so Wolverine, but depending how they do it and if they bring Wolverine into it, we'll see. So I'm not sure about that, but anyway, so we're just gonna see that. But I'm very excited to have seen these movies. The Black Panther was just a brilliant movie, but in the way of like superhero powers and all that, yes, there were some really cool shots, but it was more setting up Black Panther, and some of the CGI seemed a little generic. I mean, I can pick it apart a little bit, but not much. I mean, the storyline was solid, and the cultural significance of it alone is more than enough that it is a very important film. So it transcends in that way, and it brought together, for African Americans and people of color to see strong characters on screen. And we've talked about this on podcasts this year here on Geek Homeworld, but to see people work together and to be in good positive roles was an amazing, wonderful thing that we needed to see. And for a lot of people, we needed to see that. So kudos to Marvel and finally getting Black Panther and the great Stan Lee that we lost this year. That was a very sad moment there, losing Stan Lee the way we did. And we just have to be thankful for all the things that were in there. As the recording of this, today is December 18th when I'm doing this live chat kind of recording here of the episode. And the number one movie is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it has surprised me because it's got a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's done very well. I think there's a scene in there where they pay homage to the great Stan Lee that we lost in 2018. And, well, it's interesting to see. I have not, at the recording of this, seen it, and I've had several friends who have seen it and said it's next to Spider-Man 2, which I agree is my favorite Spider-Man of all time. And Homecoming is very, very close to that. It could be number 2 or close to being number 1. Tom Holland encapsulates the role. I feel like Marvel really finally got the role right. I just really liked Tobey Maguire and the pacing of Spider-Man 2. So I'm kind of old school on that. But, that being said, it's not a bad thing. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse gives a chance for all these different, Gwen Stacy. I think Spider-Pig might be in there. I don't even know if that's a thing. But all these different incarnations of Spider-Man. So we see that in Into the Spider-Verse. So Marvel is alive and kicking, and it's probably never been more popular than it is. And the passing of Stan Lee won't change that. We are really all hoping that Captain Marvel does well with Brie Larson. And honestly, through the teaser trailer and the first trailer that came out for Captain Marvel, I'm not super excited. I'm a little bit more excited from the first one. I don't know, I don't know what it's going to be like for that, but we're going to see. So I'm just checking here to see if we've got anybody coming in on here, and I haven't seen anybody pop their heads in here on the podcast. So interesting. On the chat here, nobody's coming on the chat, so let's see. I'm just retweeting to my followers here to let them know that we're on the live stream. I've never done a live stream, so I've done live streams. I do them for my radio show, Savannah on Film, but I haven't done them here on Geek Homeworld, so I'm trying to build the channel here as we talk about things. And I guess I'm just going to keep pushing along here. I should not tell you the behind-the-scenes thing, but this is new for me, so it's not going to be my favorite video. I don't have the perfect lighting set up. I've got a tripod, I've got my phone, got my recording equipment, recording separately. So, it's, I've got, you probably can't see, but a little earpiece in here. So I'm getting the microphone directly off of here, going into the phone itself so that, the phone, I get a better sound. I could do a lav and do a different connection and probably, get cleaner, better sound. So I'm working on the live stream. But anyway, so that's just a little bit about what's going on with that. I am not getting anything here from... Why is the live stream? Is it not sending it out anymore? It says it's live. So maybe that's why. Live chat is on. All messages are visible. I don't need to do anything else. Let's share this to Twitter. Let's see where else. Let's see. And just forgive me right here. I'm typing. You may hear this in the thing. I'm actually typing on the phone, and there's probably better ways to do this. And I'm just sending out the YouTube link again. Join me live now on YouTube. So forgive me here if I'm not... Reconnecting. Okay, I don't know if that... It may disconnect me when I do that. So I don't know if this disconnected the live stream or not. So I've got to figure out what's going on here. Let's see, I'm reconnecting here on the computer, but it may not be sending it out. I don't even really know. So we'll figure it out. But all in all, Marvel's had a wonderful year, and they have nothing to complain about. Several billions of dollars that they've done. So I see that it's coming up. The feed's coming up live on the computer here. So that one person watching is probably me on the other laptop. So that's embarrassing. Never go live on this, but I was like, so what? If no one's here, no one's here. I didn't really announce it, so this is just a kind of spur of the moment thing. So I wanted to try this out. So no shame in the game. Number 3 for the year coming out, and these numbers, by the way, they will change, but and some of the rankings actually have changed, but the major ones on here haven't. Incredibles 2. Me and my friends, we waited, a decade almost, if not, for Incredibles 2, while they went and Pixar made all these other movies, Cars 2 that we didn't need, I think Cars 3 and whatever else, and I'm like, Incredibles, we need a sequel to Incredibles, and Incredibles 2 just pretty much picked up where the first one left off. It still felt relevant for the times. It was very kind of ahead of its time. It was just a fun movie, and I really enjoyed it. It's every bit as good, if not better, than the original. I would say it's probably on par, at the very least, with Incredibles. So Incredibles 2 ends up the year, at this point, as of December 18th when I'm recording this, number 3 for the year with just a little bit over $608 million. So even though we've had a couple movies, a lot of them over $100 million, there were a lot of bombs this year, and we'll talk about what, one of them that's bombing right now is Mortal Engines. It may turn out to be the biggest bomb of the year, with $100 million to $150 million rumored to be its production budget. It only opened this weekend with like $7 million. And I don't know, it didn't do so well internationally, I'll say that also. So not really a good thing. Not really a good thing there. And I'm just going to skip around on some of these because some of these have changed. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it did about $400 million. So we drop about $200 million. So we only really had 2 movies, Incredibles 2 and Infinity War, that broke the $600 million barrier. And Black Panther, they left it out so long in theaters and people were seeing it. And not to take anything away from the greatness of Black Panther, but, it was out an incredibly long time, a good portion of the year, 6 months almost to the day. So, and that's not uncommon. Okay. But it got $700 million. So it was the only $700 million. Now I hope here a year from now, we're talking about how wonderful episode 9 is. I've seen it 9 times at this point. It was everything I hoped that episode 8 would have been. J.J. Abrams has redeemed the entire franchise and all that, that would be wonderful. But that would be so great if I could live in a world where that's possible. And, that would be really cool. I would be so incredibly happy about that. So, that being said, I'm trying to look at YouTube here while we're recording, so forgive me. I'm not ignoring anyone here. Let's see. Oh, well, I really don't join us now. I didn't. I hate this. There's something about this keyboard that just does not work for me. So, anyway, but back to the show. So, when we get to movies like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, it did about 416 million, and I saw it. I have a friend of mine who watched it, and he probably saw it more than once. He's a big Jurassic Park fan, but there were a lot of people that were like, this didn't break any new territory. Jurassic Park didn't really do much for us. And so it ends up in possibly the top 5 for the year, but it still didn't do much. It didn't really, for a lot of people, it wasn't what everybody hoped it would be. So all right, let me tweet that. Okay, send that tweet out. I'm surprised nobody's shown up. So, I don't know. It's weird. This is killing me. This is messing up my hair. I'm so vain. Oh, gosh. So, anyway. So, we're talking all about Black Panther here. Avengers, Infinity War, Incredibles 2, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Number 5, Deadpool 2, and it added a little bit over the weekend with basically them re-releasing it with a kind of Christmas theme and saying, oh, it's not R-rated, we put out a PG version. Now, this was a movie that I worried about because I'm a big fan of the comics going back, including the character of Cable coming into this, and I was excited at the end of Deadpool, and I was like, yeah, bring on the next Force movie, give me Cable, give me what, us diehard true fans, not that some of you aren't, but from the 90s comics, I really liked the idea of Cable and the whole storyline of Cable, and they didn't get into all that. They did a little bit, but now with Fox and Marvel getting Fox eventually in this merger of sorts and everything, so there's a good chance that we're going to get, hopefully, I hope at least, an X-Force movie. That would be spectacular. And I wonder how you guys feel about it out there. Let us know at Geek Homeworld. And I was very happy with Josh Brolin's performance as Cable. He did a fantastic job. It was everything I hoped it could be. I would have liked more of Cable in the movie, but I mean, he was in there a pretty good bunch, and so they basically introduce X-Force and kill them all off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. But I'm pretty sure we're reconnecting. Okay, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Deadpool 3, but Deadpool 2, Josh Brolin, he did the amazing hat trick of playing Thanos in probably the best geeky movie of the year, one of the best of all time. Just a wonderful, even empathetic character in Thanos, even though, his idea of bringing balance to the universe was to wipe out half of existence, and that's not the way you do it. It's not the way you should do it. It's the way he did it. And so Josh Brolin played, in the same year, no less, played Thanos brilliantly. Couldn't ask for a better adaptation of Thanos. And he also did a brilliant job as Cable, I think. So, no surprise that Deadpool 2 did very well. it's in numbers have added a little bit more, but I have 318 million. I know, not counting this weekend's numbers, it was a little bit more than that. So it did a decent box office. So it was nice for it to return, even with a PG version. So that's Marvel, saying, hey, for those of you kids that couldn't see the R-rated version, here at Christmas time is a time for you to see it. So a little counter programming, I guess, and rebranding it. And I haven't seen it yet, but I would see it if I get time. If it's still in the theaters, I'll catch it again. But I had no problems with Deadpool 2. A big surprise, I guess a big surprise, but next on my list here, and the order could have changed because box office will update, and all that. But Dr. Seuss's The Grinch from this year, The Grinch ended up with about 225 million. Now, a cartoon version with Benedict Cumberbatch, who was also Doctor Strange in Infinity War, and looking forward to Doctor Strange 2 sequel. They need to get on that. I'd like to see a sequel to that. Enjoyed the first film. But it did, it shows right here about number 6 for the year. So it's firmly in that top 10 there of the year. And I haven't seen it, but I do want to see it. Mission Impossible Fallout, coming in about 220 million. Officially the biggest box office, domestic, and I believe international, worldwide, all of it combined also, of this 22-23 year Mission Impossible saga of like 6 movies. And this was, I believe, the 6th. Yeah, it was the 6th movie, because we had 1, 2, and 3 Mission Impossibles. Then we had a little bit of a wait. Then we had Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and then we had Fallout. And it was wall-to-wall action. Tom Cruise is amazing in this film. He's amazing in all of them, in pretty much every film he does. And he did a great job. And I'm so happy that we had 220 million. Mission Impossible Fallout's roughly number 7 for the year. So at the recording of this. Now, the next movie, I'm not blown over by this character. I like the first movie. It's also another Marvel movie. And this one was partially filmed here in Savannah, in my home city. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I enjoyed it, and I know how important Scott Lang's character, Ant-Man, is going to be. He went into the quantum realm during the snap, and he's already showed up in the trailer for Avengers Endgame. And so, I mean, this year, 2019 is going to be incredible. We're going to have Endgame, which is going to be beyond anything. And Infinity really exceeded our expectations, whereas stuff like Solo didn't in the Star Wars thing, and going back to last year, Last Jedi wasn't what we all wanted, but, that's an ongoing story, an ongoing saga. But 2 universes where one, they seem to get it right, and one where they didn't. And Marvel, they've gotten everything right. I mean, they have not had much of a misstep that I can think of that I haven't enjoyed in any of their films. And I will say that with Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was a fun movie. I'm not a big fan of it. It's down there with Incredible Hulk. I think the Edward Norton version, which is probably the least profitable. I think Thor Dark World, the second Thor movie, not so good. Of course, obviously they've gotten better. The films in the Thor trilogy of films, including Ragnarok, which was wonderful. And then, of course, how great Thor was in Infinity War with getting Stormbreaker and all that. And so everything, with that has been good. With Thor, it's gotten better. They've treated the character much better, what he deserves. And but with saying that, we have Solo, Star Wars story. I know people that loved it. I thought it was great. I was just so let down. I've never been so let down. It's considered a bomb in Star Wars universes. Or, I mean, it's the first like Star Wars film to not make at least $400 million. And so that's crazy. It made like 213 million, which is interesting. And let's see. I'm sorry. Checking something here. We may be reconnecting in just a second. Nope. Okay. We're still going. Okay. So just checking the live stream there. So anyway, Disney owns Marvel. Disney owns Star Wars. I hope they can right the ship with Star Wars and do justice to the old and new fans. And it's a tough subject because it's a weird time to be alive, to be seeing all this new Star Wars content coming out, but to be underwhelmed by a Star Wars film has never happened in my lifetime. Well, that's not terribly true because the prequels to an extent were underwhelming, but at the time they were good. In hindsight, actually, the prequels are starting to look more Star Wars than some other things. I personally think that Solo, and nothing against that, I know it had troubles in production. They probably spent, when it's all said and done, just like Justice League, it was, about a $300 million disaster, roughly, when you figure out all the reshoots and everything else. They're different stories to both of those films, and I'm not knocking anyone involved with them. I'm just saying, what is commonly known about the films. But as a fan, Solo wasn't the movie I wanted. And I was like, okay, I'll go with it. I would have rather had an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. A lot of people would have wanted to have that. I know we're getting The Mandalorian. We're getting a lot, like the TV series, we're getting a lot of different things. And so, I think Disney hears the fans. Marvel is so in touch with their fans. Star Wars, there's been a big schism there where things have just seemed to go off the rails a little bit. So, I don't know what to say, but Solo, 213 million, number 9 for the year so far. These numbers may change. Now, probably one of the biggest surprises and probably one of the most profitable movies this year, which makes Sony, I think it is, rethink giving Venom away. And they were saying this, Tom Holland did a perfect job as Venom and Eddie Brock, but it ends up, and it's still trucking. It's still, it says it closed, it's still out there. It came out in October, and it's done over 200 million, about 212. So as of December 18th, when I'm recording this, it's the number 10 movie of 2018. And that's amazing. And no pun intended, Amazing Spider-Man. But that movie's done so well that now they're thinking, hey, there's life here yet. We've done something right, and we don't have to give it all to Marvel, but we still want to see Tom Holland, see Venom crossover. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Venom, there's a scene with Carnage at the end, and so that's going to be interesting. They could do a Carnage movie, and I got a feeling somehow they're still going to connect it to the MCU, mainly because of the success of Venom. I can see that, Venom's kind of the anti-hero. I always thought he was a villain, but he's more an anti-hero kind of thing. A little like Deadpool, but he's more vicious. And this was a very graphic R-rated movie, so it's interesting to see that being done. So, Sony having Venom and it being almost top 10 for the year. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Nobody saw that coming. So each year at the box office is full of surprises. You have good things, and then you have things that are not what you think they're going to be. It's amazing. And so with that being said, we move out of there, the top 10. I'm not going to, for just time's sake, go through the entire domestic grosses of movies, and I'm not even covering all the international box office here. But when we look at geeky movies, I can say, Black Panther was one of the best. Avengers Infinity War, one of the best. Incredibles 2 was great. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, not so great. As you can probably hear a truck backing up. This studio is not what I want it to be. It's not quiet. Deadpool 2 was great. Hadn't seen The Grinch. Mission Impossible Fallout, spectacular. Loved it. Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was fun. Okay, we're reconnecting now on YouTube, so I guess I'm probably have to end this stream in a second. But that's just kind of looking at, there's some other films that I saw that were great that are not so geeky, and some that are. But A Quiet Place is number 12 for the year at this time, at 188 million. As a sound mixer, of course, I totally love that film. The use of sound, or the use of not making any sound. And we're looking at a year or two before they're going to do a sequel, so it's already talks of it. And, it was a runaway success. One of my favorite movies of the year. It was out for about 4 months, from April to August, and at the box office, and it did very well. So very, very much enjoyed that. And A Star is Born, not a geeky movie at all, with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Some say it's an Oscar contender. We'll have more on possible Oscar contenders and a more comprehensive list of our favorite movies coming soon to the podcast here. And Bohemian Rhapsody, number 13, as of December 18th. It's still in theaters. It came out in November. 175 million. I don't think anybody expected Bohemian Rhapsody to do as well as it did. And I'm so excited that it has done so well. And it was the story of Queen and Freddie Mercury. And what a spectacular story Bohemian Rhapsody is. It's one of my favorites. It's going to end up in my top 10 favorite movies. I don't see how it couldn't. And it's not necessarily a geeky movie, but it's, for my top films, they don't necessarily have to be geeky. I'm more than a geek, so I work in the film industry, and love movies. And even if I didn't work in the film industry, I still love movies. So, and just understand, if I'm being seemingly negative about any films, it's not because it's nothing personal to anybody. It's just how I feel as a fan, my reaction, my honest reaction. And it doesn't mean anything against the people, all the hardworking men and women behind the scenes that, from above the line, below the line, wherever they fall in the production of any of these films. I've got to rate them. I've got to say, okay, this is my favorite. This is a movie I'm going to watch over and over again. But even if it's not in my top list or whatever, it doesn't mean that especially if I worked on a film, it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy the experience or didn't enjoy the people I worked with. Because, so that's maybe a disclaimer I should have said at the beginning of this. But there's no reason to think that I would harbor any, resistance to any movie, to any film that I've worked on. Because there's a lot of short films that a lot of people didn't see this year. There were some of the best films. It's not always the big box office, big budget films. It's not all those tentpole releases that are always the best films, not necessarily. And that might be this year with Infinity War, with Black Panther and stuff like that, for me. But this is just my personal feelings, and they don't reflect anything else, other than just, how I feel about films. So Bohemian Rhapsody was good. Crazy Rich Asians was a surprise hit. Could be one of the biggest surprises. It opened with only, about 26 million, and then it ended up with about 173 million to land, easily in the top 15 for the year. And an amazing film it was. A very amazing film. So, I'm just very happily surprised at how well that film did. I enjoyed it. It was good to see. It was a good film, but I don't know if it ended up in my top films. I'm not sure. One that I talked about, one of the actors was on my Savannah on Film radio show, And you can see on Facebook Live there for Fan on Film, Aaron Paderewski played the mechanic in Halloween 2018 version of it. And what a great movie it was. Not because necessarily, I'm not saying that because a film friend of mine was in the film, but Jamie Lee Curtis did such a wonderful job. And yeah, it's a Halloween movie, but it just felt like it re-energized the entire series. It did what they're doing with a lot of films. It just pretty much erased all those Halloween sequels, the ones that were good and not so good. And it was a direct sequel to the original, which was honestly a smart thing to do. And I didn't think necessarily it would be, but I had an open mind and I wanted to see it anyway when I saw the trailer. And when I found out my friend who had sat on it forever, he had to sit on that for several months that he was in the film. He couldn't mention it. And so then he, mentioned it on Sven on Film on my show that he was in there. We talked about it, and you can check that out over on Facebook and all that. So, but anyway, Halloween, 159 million, and I think it's closed now, but it opened at like October 19th was its opening date. So literally 2 months ago as a recording of this. And it was really a good movie. And I'm not big on horror films. I don't go to a lot of them. I certainly don't like gory films. And this wasn't gory. I mean, it was a little bit gory, but yeah, I would let some kids watch it, but it wasn't terribly gory. It was a good story, and it just felt, there were a few parts that were predictable, but honestly, it felt kind of fresh. It felt like a new take on things, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said, I can't say enough about Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in it. I think it should get more credit than it will. And who knows, that may end up in my top films of the year. I don't know yet. A geeky film, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Didn't watch it. I hadn't really watched all of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. We have an episode about that. I think my sister-in-law, I ended up talking to her about it because she's a very big Harry Potter fan. And this one, I think she enjoyed it, but it's getting a little, I don't know. I'm not a big Potter fan or Harry Potter fan. I like Harry Potter, but I'm not like a rabid Harry Potter fan like I am a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan. So, but it did pretty well, 146 million. There's things like The Meg, which is probably another big surprise, which is about this megalodon shark, I think is what it's called. And that movie, it did tremendous at 143 million, and nobody saw that coming. I thought that was probably straight to video, and I was wrong. And I enjoyed it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I had really low expectations. Ready Player One, and it outlived my expectations, obviously. Ready Player One ended up only making about 137 million, and I thought that visually, cinematography-wise, visually, everything, beautiful movie, great movie. Spielberg on it, sounded like a good premise for the whole thing. Thought it would be great, just did not, and it was just very surprising. So I was just really surprised that it didn't do as well as I thought it would. So just very interesting, and I don't know why. Some people didn't like all the 80s references. I obviously did. I thought it worked. So, I don't know. Do not know why it didn't work. So, but people saw it. There were some other great movies. I'm looking at the list here. Equalizer 2, I enjoyed it, with Denzel Washington, a good horror movie. Wrinkle in Time, I saw it. It just barely made 100 million. Was a disappointment to me. I don't know. It visually looked great, but even Oprah, I don't think could save it. Creed 2 is nearing 100 million as we speak, and it was very good. I Can Only Imagine, it's a spiritual film based on the song. Really good, honest movie. It really bring you to tears. A really good story. Smallfoot was okay. It kind of, for me, underperformed. It didn't do well. Night School with Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish did about 77 million. Was funny, but the movie I was really looking for was Nobody's Perfect, where that had to be hands down one of the funniest movies. May end up in my top 10 even, just solely on the fact of, I mean, there's more to this movie than you'd think, and Tiffany Haddish was a major part of the movie. She stole every scene she was in. She was raunchy as can be, but hilariously funny. And all props to her. She did spectacular on that movie. Game Night, which only did about 69 million, was a very fun movie. I enjoyed that. Skyscraper, and The Rock had a lot of movies out. There were some hits and there were some misses. And this one kind of a miss a little bit, but you know, I enjoyed it. It was kind of like Die Hard. Even the poster kind of looked like Die Hard a little bit. But you know what? It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Sometimes you have to enjoy things for what they are. A disappointment, I'd say, is Pacific Rim Uprising. I didn't care to see it as much as I thought I would. And it only did about 59 million, which was not good. Now, Tomb Raider was good, but it only did about 57 million. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't like terribly like it. I didn't think it was like, it didn't ball me over. So I don't know. I really don't. I don't understand what happened. But so anyway, it just, some movies just don't click. There's so many other movies, and I need to bring this to a close. So this is just me talking about here on episode 103 of the Geek Homeworld podcast, and we've got a lot of things planned for 2019. We're doing a lot more going forward, so I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank everybody who showed up in the live stream, which is actually me on the other computer. So this, I don't know if this video is going to make the light of day or whatever, but I'll decide when I see it. So the video's gone on for about an hour at this point, so about a little bit over that. So, oh well. So, I'll have to announce it. I'm planning ahead in the future, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening, and maybe you'll watch this later. I don't know, on the rewatch there on YouTube, but if you'd like to subscribe to our Geek Homeworld YouTube channel, I'm trying to build that slowly. It may not happen. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to master the video. Not master in the sense of master it. I'm trying to learn more about video. Look at me talking with my hands. Yeah, so I'm getting the after delayed effect to my right here. I'm trying not to look at it down here. Or I'm probably going to realize I'm probably pointing the wrong direction because the computer's to my right. This is my right. This is my left. And I know it's reversed. And so I've got to learn all that about shooting video. And you'd think I never went to production classes, but I have. Just didn't get to work on camera much. It was always sound. So sound I'm always better at. And I'm still working on ways to improve the sound even for the video. So anyway, this is a very long video, and I don't think anybody's watched it, so I don't know. Don't care. I do care. It's just a first try at it. So, interesting episode here of the podcast here, and a long one too. I haven't podcasted much. There's been a lot going on. I'm focusing on the radio show, Savannah on Film. It's comes on Saturdays, and you can see it on the Facebook. Just go to the Facebook page, look for Savannah on Film, and I'm talking to people in the film industry. Got Facebook Lives that actually are live, and they're attended quite well, so we're growing that. So enjoying the radio show. It's been fun. It's been a blessing, and I'm going to continue podcasting. I still enjoy it, and I'm trying to break into the video podcasting thing. I've been very shy about it. Been 10 years podcasting this year, so 2018 was back in September 7th was 10 years straight. So basically that I've been 10 years straight that I've been podcasting. So several podcasts I've created. Now I'm taking the Geek Homeworld into the visual range here, and so it's a slow process, and I've got a lot to work on. I've got to work on my lighting, so you should really see the makeshift lighting I've got going on here. I need a proper 3-point lighting set here, and this and that. So anyway, if you're watching this on the replay, I don't know how this is going to look. I'm recording it on my Note 9, so on the phone itself, it looks great. It looks spectacular. But I'm looking at on an inferior computer, kind of the playback on it that's delayed, and it looks very grainy. So we'll figure this out. This is trial and error. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you watch this later on down the line, and please be kind in the comment section there, because say I'm new at this on the video part of it, and I don't have my computer. It broke. It's in the shop. It's been in the shop almost a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks at this point. And I hope to get it back soon, because it's really messed up my production schedule of things. So it's slowed me down from podcasting. It slowed me down from a lot of things that I would normally do. So anyway, I thank everybody for listening to the podcast, and I'm sorry if I've disappeared for a while. It's because the radio show has been... I've been trying to really focus on that and build that. And now that I've got that up and going and very successful, I want to thank all my guests, my wonderful guests and past guests and future guests. And I want to thank them, everybody who's been involved with Savannah on Film. But I'm trying to also service the geek in me, and that by podcasting here, talking about geeky movies, and we talk about other things too. I've noticed I've become a lot interested in 5G and AI, artificial intelligence. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks on AI and the implications of the future with AI and 2019 and beyond, how that's going to affect us. And, it's very fascinating, a lot of different topics. I did do a little video companion kind of episode that you can find here on the YouTube channel for Geek Homeworld about transhumanism. And so it's very interesting. I did one about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, called, I think it was about AI, the future of AI, I think is what it's called. So you can check that out. There's, so we talk about more than just movies here, but I attend a lot of movies. I go to a lot of movies, so I do a lot of things, and hopefully I'll be doing more of these live streams. If I have the time, we'll try to see, and I'll try to plan this out proper. So anyway, I'm rambling on. I gotta go. Thank you, everyone who's listened. Please check us out at Geek Homeworld on Twitter. You can like our Facebook page, Geek Homeworld. You can also like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. That would be wonderful. Please be kind on the comments, because I'm trying to figure this out, the video part of it. So I'm going to get it down. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get some better equipment, but hopefully the phone, I'll learn better ways to live stream. So I don't know. I'm working on the sound. I'm working on different things. You can't see my boom mic that's down here. So the audio is going to sound good, but I'm not going to match it up with the video and do all that post-production stuff. The live stream's just going to go out as a live stream. And then the audio version is going to be a little awkward, because you're going to be hearing me talking and, well, you'll hear everything I've said here, but it'll just be, it'll be an audio version of the podcast. So we're Geek Homeworld on Twitter, Geek Homeworld on Facebook. You can check out Savannah on Film on Facebook. Watch our live Facebook every Saturday from 7 to 8 p.m. That's our new time slot. It started December 1st for Savannah on Film. And I talk to people in all levels of the film industry. So you can check us out there on the Facebook streams. And then I am really behind on processing a lot of my shows. I was putting them on YouTube, but now that I'm doing the Facebook Live, at least I have something up of the interviews so when they go live. And I'm working on my production quality for live streaming. Live streaming doesn't come natural to me per se, but I've got to get more comfortable with it. And, the thing is, I've been waiting, like a lot of professionals say, don't just go ahead and do it. People that have been in the business and that live stream, they make movies off their phones and all our iPhones and stuff like that. Just do it. Stop planning. Stop trying to make everything perfect. I learned OBS this year, kind of taught myself that, watching a lot of YouTube classes and following a lot of people out there that are really masters of it. And Streamline OBS came out, and I was working with that. Now, just got the live thing here, so I'm trying to figure out different methods and how I want to deliver content and all that. So it's a learning cycle, and I'll look back and cringe at all this, I'm sure. At least the visual part of it. And maybe some of the audio part, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm Ed, aka SavageTechman. You can also follow me on Twitter at SavageTechman. And thank you for joining the live stream if you did on YouTube. And hopefully I'll have some more live streams. And thank you for listening to this episode 103 of the Geek Homeworld podcast. Thanks for listening. Thank you for all the followers, everybody who's been loyal to the podcast and just follow me. And I look forward to a very bright future full of interactivity with the community here. So thank you, everyone. And I'm just going to say goodbye. And so at this point, I'm going to stop the live stream so I can figure out how to do that. Let's see. I guess I just push. How do you, I didn't even figure out how I'm going to stop it. That's the funny part. Okay, share. No, I want to share. Do I want to share it? This is so funny. I don't know how to stop it. Maybe I just click stop. Okay. Well, we'll just pretend this is how we end it. So thank you for watching the live stream of the Geek Homeworld podcast and for listening. Don't forget to check out Geek Homeworld at libsyn.com. All right. Goodbye. All right. I'm cutting it off. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. Okay. So the streaming has stopped at this point. And 4 playbacks. Okay. Done. Total. Okay. Done. So hopefully that live stream is up. It's processing it, okay? And now I'm going to end the episode here. So thank you for listening at Geek Homeworld. To the Geek Homeworld podcast. This has been episode 103, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes, see us on YouTube, be part of our Mixler chats. Thank you. See you again on the Geek Homeworld podcast.